Good afternoon, everyone. We are waiting participants that are connecting, and we will start in a few minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. You are numbers of participants, so we just wait 1 minute to make able people to connect, because we had more than 100 registrations, so just 1 minute. Please, if you want, also introduce yourself, use the chat to say your name, your surname, the name of your organization. So it will be also a way to networking. And just in 1 minute, we will start. Please use also the chat to communicate us if you are able to see the screen very well or listen me. So we take the opportunity of this 1 minute to solve any kind of problem. Okay, I think that we can start. I wish you a very good afternoon. I'm very happy to introduce this event, from crisis to new opportunities for the future of tourism industry. I'm Barbara Sernari from SVIMED, the Euro-Mediterranean Center for the Sustainable Development, and with the Italian Association of Digital Nomads, we supported the organization of this event on the context of the Consumeless Plus project, an Interreg-Med project, on behalf of the lead partner, the Energy Water Agency of Malta, and the technical partner Ambiente Italia, who now I kindly invite to open this event. Please, Michael Scambari, on behalf of Manuel Sapiano. Michael Scambari is the head of the Water Policies Unit of the Energy Water Agency of Malta. And I kindly ask you if you can connect, and the floor is yours to open officially this event today. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Can you hear me?
Yes, perpetually, please.
Thank you, Barbara, and good afternoon to all. As introduced by Barbara, my name is Michael Schembri. I'm the head of the water unit within the Energy and Water Agency, which is the lead partner of the Consumeness Plus project. I'm here on behalf of the CEO of the agency, Manuel Sapiano, who unfortunately had to be present in an urgent meeting, an urgent Mediterranean meeting with water ministers, and therefore I'm here to convey the message of the agency on his behalf. As you are fully aware, the current situation, the pandemic resulted in a very challenging environment for the tourism industry, and therefore the Consumeness Plus project could actually provide an opportunity for the countries and territories involved in this project to try and find a way how we can move away from the challenges brought about on tourism and its economy as a result of this pandemic, and face this crisis with new approaches, which are more sustainable and more resilient to the changing conditions. I'm happy to say that within this project, there were 9 countries, participants from 9 countries who were actively involved in this project from a number of territories. But it's also glad to note that the project involved also the participation of other countries from around the world. So it attracted also the interests of organizations from other countries, which is also augurs well for the outcome of this project. When it comes to the actual implementation of the project and how this aligns to the agency's objectives, and this is also why we are lead partners of the project, given that the agency is a policy agency, is very much interested in developing policies which are relevant for the sector, in particular the private sector. And this project allowed EWA to engage directly with the private sector to assess their existing practices and see how we can improve their practices and how this can be then reflected in policies, in particular water, energy and waste policies. And this is very much in line with EWA's remit. In water, we intend to continue working on the results of the Consumeness project, in particular with the tourism sector, and to see how we can extend this approach, this commendable approach, also with various types of tourist accommodations, smaller hotels, various setups of accommodation facilities, to see how we can improve further their energy and water consumption, and ensure that they can engage in this activity, which is very important for the Maltese Islands, in a sustainable way. Finally, I'd like to also thank my colleagues at EWA who worked relentlessly on this project, and also for their commitment, and also Barbara and the team within ZVMet and who are also consultants for the project, given their ongoing commitment and collaboration for the project, and also the various project partners, because their commitment and energy ensured that this project can be implemented successfully, and it also ensures that we can also capitalize on the results of the project in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We will capitalize and improve results, because we never stop to surprise, and also this event want to be an updating of the Consumeness model that today we are not explaining in depth, because we will talk about related issue of sustainable development. And just to show who doesn't know, the model consumerless, we will show a short video to introduce you the consumerless model in order to understand why today we are talking about sustainability and why and how with the consumerless model we supposed to contribute to this important and great will. Thank you, Giovanni. If you can show, please.
The consumerless approach that aims at improving a more sustainable tourism in a territory requires a clear commitment to implement a shared project that is able to involve either the public sector and private stakeholders. The Consumerless Committee, the operational body, is in charge of managing this shared project. It is formed by members of the public administration and local key actors representing tourist and environmental sectors, signing a commitment to work together. As a first step, a Consumerless Med label is created in order to identify the local tourist facilities committing themselves to increase their environmental sustainability and to raise the awareness of their customers, save water, reduce waste, save energy, respect nature. The Consumerless Committee provides technical support to the hotels, B&Bs, bars and restaurants, shops and campsites interested in applying the label, and awards the ones that comply with the label's criteria. Furthermore, it selects demonstrative measures aimed at reducing water and energy consumption or waste production that have a high visibility for tourists. The Consumerless Committee chooses the measures and supports.
Some technical problem.
The Consumerless support, enjoying the Consumerless network, increases its capacities to promote itself as a sustainable tourist destination. What is the following step? To communicate not only at the local level, but also locally and globally, the consumerless destination, through the support of regional and national authorities assuming the consumerless approach as a reference to enhance sustainable tourism. The most suitable promotional tools and channels according to the different tourist targets identified. The Consumerless Med platform. Join us and spread the consumerless idea of a more sustainable tourism, giving the opportunity to experience and enjoy the real identity of a territory, respecting it.
Okay, with this last call to action, actually, I'm glad to introduce Marina Trentin from Ambiente Italia, the technical partner of Consumerless Plus and also partner of Consumerless Project, to connect this project with the title, the aim of this event that seems quite far from the environmental sustainability. Please, Marina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Thank you very much to you and to all the people who are attending this seminar today. And of course, thank you to EWA and SVIMED who allowed us to create this beautiful connection between what is tourism and how it connects to the territories. We know that the territories are our main assets when we discuss about resources, but we don't only have natural and environmental resources. We also have our heritage, our local culture, our traditions, and we also have our community and our social assets. And we should give also an announcement to the promotion of these assets. That is because we don't only need to promote and protect our natural and environmental heritage, but we also need to understand how we can innovate and give a new way of living our territories to tourists and to any other user that come to our place. It means that we need to transform the tourism from just a way of consume a place to a way of live in a place, and live a new place and make it more alive than it was before. So we need to put all our assets in common to other people and make other people understand how they can enhance and protect them. So that's why we decided to work on innovation. Innovation, and in this case, social innovation, means that we need new approaches to do what we already were doing. So we need to better understand the requests that our targets are making to us. We need to better understand our needs in order also to answer others' needs. This is a way for saying that remote working became a new way of life, a new lifestyle for a lot of people. It means that we got a lot of new lessons from what we just passed. As Michael was saying, we are still in this big trouble that was the COVID pandemic. We are also in other big troubles, and it means that we need a new way of living our experiences, and we need to live them with safety, first of all, and we well know now what it means. We need to live them with inclusivity. No one need to open this experience to the widest target we can reach. And we need to do this with sustainability, not just with environmental sustainability, that is of course what we care a lot, but also with social and economic sustainability. We need to work with the community. This means that communities, as I started are our main asset. Communities is the main asset of the territories we are working and living way. And of course, we are not going to consume ourselves. That's why we need to take care, and we need to be very innovative in, I'd say, in make a sustainable tourism, environmental sustainability. That's why Consumless, that is all about environmental sustainability, decided to work with the services to tourism that are part of the community. And that's why we decided also to work for the community and to supply this kind of webinar, this kind of workshop, exactly for make the message pass about social sustainability to be a really strong tool for enhancing local tourism and local tourism income also. Income is not just coming from money. Income is also coming from any kind of new organization you can take up and use for better your service. That's why since needs are changing, we also need to change our offer. How can we change our offer? Listen to new models, listen to new examples, look for new models, and try to promote our offers using new channels and through new channels. So we need to open to new goals. We need to learn how to accept new goals and how to accept new models for our local economy, and also for becoming more ambitious. Maybe, for example, looking at the next European program, the 21-27 new programs for Europe development, in order to capitalize our results coming from the Consumless Plus project and all the Consumless experience that was gained, and think that this way of putting together and join the public and private approach, the public and private promotion of the territory, the community assets, the environmental assets, in order to better the way of living in a territory, is probably one of the biggest results we can put in the next future. We hope it will be brighter than it looks in this moment, and go through a more sustainable way of living and not being consumed by the tourism. So I really welcome you. I'm really curious to listen to our speakers now, and we will see back, at the end of this webinar. Thank you, Barbara, and here the stage.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you very much. Just to give this overview, why with this consumerless project that actually seems to talk specifically on environmental sustainability, actually our view is really larger, and that inside this model that you can discover better if you want in the chat. There will be they just published the link for discover better this model. But today, the floor is for our great speakers at international level that in a while I will introduce to you. But before, we want better know you or better each other, because actually we asked you some details during the registration form, but we would like now, by means of Mentimeter, if Giovanni is ready to launch it, on the there is a Mentimeter, 4 quick questions for you. You can access on the link on the chat for access directly. If you put also the link on the chat, please, or otherwise you can go on menti.com and edit the code, or otherwise also with your phone by the QR code. You will find the first of the 4 quick questions that we want to ask you, just to show the audience that in this moment is following this event, and you can so quickly answer to the question, where are you from? That actually means also where are you now, because in this very nice audience, we have also many people that probably are from a country, but are working and following us from another country, because we are we are talking about remote workers, and we are many remote workers with us. For sure, the global view it's make us not clear the country at Mediterranean level, but for the moment, we are concentrated on the Mediterranean. But in the registration form, we know that we are people also from Jordan, from China, from India, from South Africa, from Chile, yes, from Brazil, Brazil. You are waiting a few minutes also for other, because it's the first question. Please maintain connected to the menti.com, because we will use it during all the event to ask you sometimes your idea, your wish, your understanding about this. Okay, I anticipated the Brazil because I know already from the registration form who you are. Okay, probably somebody are taking time to connect, but it's good. Just to maintain the agenda, you please answer, because we will in any case maintain these slides also for later. But I think we can also shift, because I would like to maintain the timetable. Yes, the second question. What is your role in the tourism industry? So you are a private entities, a public entities, a digital nomad, a social innovator, or other. In case of other, please also write in the chat. Use the chat during all the event to comments, to add details, or also to for writing questions to our speakers step by step. We will read the questions for our speakers at the end of each speech, and we will take 10 minutes for some questions and also from some surveys. So mainly in this moment we are public entities, but we have also one social innovators, so social innovator, and I think the topics that we are tackling today is quite hard also to understand how connecting social innovation and tourism development. I cannot connect. I don't know, there is some problem probably to somebody to connect to Mentimeter. Okay, in case you can write, who cannot write, use Mentimeter, we can also write on the chat the answers, don't worry. Okay, more or less, yes, we understood that the media are public entities. Interesting, because it means that is something that is can be very useful for public entities to develop a new strategy on tourism industry. Please, we can shift to the third question. So we would like to ask you a word to define the tourism sector for you now, just a feeling, what you feel, what you think, if you imagine the tourism sector today. And just to understand, we know that is a really complex period, but tourism can means so many things that we would like to understand where you are in these worlds of worlds. So I don't know if there are some answers already, or you are thinking about just one word to say what's for you the tourism sector. Voila, culture, yeah. Opportunity for sure. Challenging and changing, yes. Crisis is true. But sustainability, wow. Innovation, yeah. Opportunities means sustainable innovation, culture. It's the 4 words, 4 or 5 words that seems to be more the common sense, but it's very interesting. Learning, it's very nice words. Uncertain, vulnerable, inspiration, resilience, experience, local know-how, health, materialistic, technologies, connection. No, nobody wrote community and says that Marina tried to repeat community so many times that should be like a mantra, community, but can be also community. Probably after the speaker's speech, we will focus again on the idea that tourism can be really the community. So I think it was the last one. No, there is one more. Thank you very much for this. Is very inspiring us, these answers. And just about the key learnings that you already read on the agenda. Please let us know what do you wish to learn in particular about the environmental, social, and cultural heritage as assets for development of tourism, or the challenge of social innovation in tourism, or the digital nomads and remote workers as new targets for tourism destination. Are you curious about? Or welcoming destination projects for territories and communities? So let us know, what do you wish to learn today, or in general? What do you wait to understand better, thanks to our speakers in a while? There is a competition between 2 main key learnings. Okay, I think it's very good because more or less our whole equity. So it's good because we will try really to contribute to all these learnings. So it's good because we have an audience that distributed, that want to learn about all these aspects. So it's good. So I expect you will follow all the events until the end. So I think we can finish, and there are perfectly 3:30. And we can start introducing the first of our 4 really great speakers that today will enjoy us with very good experience and experience around the world. Really thank you for the contribution for these first questions. And if Francesca Folda is ready to take the floor, I will introduce this first super guest, Francesca Folda, the Global Communication Director at Amani Institute, non-profit organization that provides training for social impact professionals with office in Kenya, India, and Brazil. So also, if you haven't the banner that to introduce you, I didn't explain all the wonderful things that you did and you do, and I will you the floor to better explain how you can contribute to these wonderful issues that is the social innovation, the development of our communities, and to make better our worlds. Thank you, Francesca.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this event. I'm going to share my screen in order to have some visual supporting my speech. And I want to say first that in a way, it's hard to speak about tourism in Europe today, right? We are all following the news, and these are painful days. But at the same time, I really agree with what the World Tourism Organization says. Because tourism, for me, there was a question before, but it's first of all a tool for understanding each other, for learning to respect each other's cultures and fostering peace in the end. So with this in mind, what we are discussing today is how to do it in a meaningful, sustainable way. And I strongly believe this can only happen if we don't focus on tourism only as a for-profit industry. But as it was said before, if we look at the hosting and visiting communities, if we build value for them, and we do it through enriching their perspective and helping them go beyond boundaries. Quick intro about myself. As I was said, I work for Amani Institute, that is a global nonprofit organization. But as a background, I'm a journalist. I've been working as a journalist for 20 years, and I'm a passionate traveler, of course. The organization I work for as a mission to develop individuals and organizations to lead social change. And we do it across a variety of programs. And customized training, and we engage people from all over the world. This is what allowed me in the last few years to travel even more and meet social entrepreneurs and social innovators, also in the tourist industry, that have inspired many of the things that I'm going to share in this event. So let's go and look at tourism now. And if you look at general definition, dictionaries describe tourism as the act and process of spending time away from home in pursuit of recreation, learning, relaxation, and pleasure. So now I would like each of us to answer a question. Think about it. What do recreation, learning, relaxation, and pleasure in the end mean to you? What are the destinations, the activities that would provide you these positive experiences? If you can close your eyes, even just for 1 second, what's the first things that come to your mind, that feeling of being a tourist and feeling good? So I would love to ask this question to each and every one of you and listen to the answers. But what I can say in short, because we are so many people here, is that there are key trends that the pandemic contributed to accelerate, like the fact that people now understand even better how both physical and mental well-being are equally important, that we need to spend more time in nature, that nature energized us, that makes us feel more grounded and connect also with ourselves. But also we know that nature needs protection. Another trend that is becoming more and more important is that people want to add meaning and purpose to what they do. And this applies to their work, but also to their leisure activities. Whenever we invest relevant part of our money or time, we want to know that we are doing something meaningful. Sustainability, both at all levels, economical, environmental, social, and purpose, why we do what we do, become more and more important for each and every one of us. How these affect tourism and travelers' choices? How does this change the value of destinations and experiences? I believe that travelers don't choose anymore where to go based only on geographical characteristics, seaside or mountains, an historic city, or a thematic park. People choose destinations that are more aligned with their deeper desire, with their deeper needs, and especially if they want to spend longer period of time in a place. So it's not just for a day, but if they're staying there, and we will see digital nomads spend long period of time in different places. In this case, they really look for lifestyles that match their needs, for communities that they can belong to or that they can learn from. It's not just about taking a picture. It's not about feeling good for one moment. It's about feeling part of that picture. So touristic destination can't be anymore like mine, exploited. Think of Venice and its overcrowded roads and canal, and think of the expensive cafes, or think some Mediterranean beaches that it's impossible even to lay down in summer, in high season. When places lose their soul, people abandon them. First, residents, and two, you don't have residents anymore, you don't have local culture, you have fast food instead of local food, you have souvenir made in China. Yes, you still have crowd of people coming, but they become one-day visitors. They become Instagram shooters who run away as fast as they can. They don't even spend the night, as it's now happening in Venice. So tourist destinations should instead be magnets that can attract with authenticity and show the essence of their way of living and the real rhythm of the local communities. Separating completely the experience of residents community from the experience of visitors is a huge mistake. You do harm also to the business in the medium term if you take care exclusively of the tourists and you don't take care of the residents. So the question is, how can we do it right? How can we promote tourism as an exchange of culture and development without exhausting the beauty and the soul of the different places? I will do for you today a quick around the world tour from east to west to show places that I visited or where I've met social innovators that are using human-centered design, social innovation, and run impact businesses, and they can offer positive examples. I'll start from New Zealand. This is Auckland, a huge city. But the beauty of this city, I'm really in love with it, because the beauty of this city is that you can go around with public transportation. There are ferries, boats, buses. There's a little bit of everything, but most of all, you can walk. Despite some up and downs and hills, the entire city can be easily walked around. And the same happened in Brisbane, Australia. It's not just a matter of having sidewalks, it's about thinking of them as really the beautiful place where a lot of citizens and tourists will spend their time. So pedestrian paths are designed and built very often above the street level. They are protected by plants, so you don't hear the noise of the cars, you don't smell the pollution. And they are paved with natural materials or in warmer colors. So those who can walk there can have really a relaxing experience. And in Australia, they are even separated from cycle paths. So to protect 100% the pedestrian. If you develop a city for a pedestrian, you are also creating an enjoyable route for tourists. You allow them to have a slow pace and understand more about the city. So you serve the resident and you amplify the quality of the experience also for the tourists. Let me move from New Zealand. We move a little bit west and we reach Mauritius. We all know where Mauritius is. It's a very small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And Mauritius can teach us something around looking at your place, your destination, the place where you want to do a business around tourism from, with new lenses, especially when you think you have limited resources. Innovators use a tool that is called reframing. And so you can look at Mauritius at a small and insignificant island in the middle of the ocean, or you can look at all what you think it's a limit and transform it in its huge, in its biggest opportunity. So Mauritius is now the largest ocean state in the world. With this reframing, you really change the lenses and can build on this, all the opportunities, both for residents and for visitors. So my invitation now is think about your country, your town, or the place you want to launch as a touristic destination. What if your limits become your biggest opportunities? What are your unique characteristics? And what is the real pleasure that you can offer to people who come and visit? How this added value can be provided and protected both for visitors and local communities. With this question in mind, I want to share with you another example. And now we're traveling to Kenya. This image in the Masai Mara. It's a beautiful natural park visited every year by more than 300,000 visitors. And it's a destination that is known especially for the beauty of the nature and the unique wildlife. But the name of the Masai Mara comes from the Masai. It's the local semi-nomadic tribe living in this land for centuries. In the name of wildlife protection, unfortunately, as a huge touristic industry has been developed, and mainly it was led by international organizations, European people that were making agreement to own the land and run lodges and do game drives and stuff in the savannah. But what happened in the Mara is that more and more the exploitation of this space have been pushing away the Masai people. And also there were so many safari cars. In the high season, you see more cars than elephants. And of course, you understand this is making the Masai Mara a very well-known destination. Yes, there are still huge numbers of tourists, but what is happening is that animals are going other corridors in their migration. They're in the Mara. And also people, the Masai. So this is the story of two of Mani Institute fellows, Nelson and Maggie, Masai. And they have launched the first, sorry, I made some mistake with the slide. And they have launched the first Masai lodge owned by Masai people. And through the revenues that they have collected through this lodge, they have launched a conservancy that is supporting Maasai, is supporting the restoration of animal migration corridors, and is keep on supporting the communities. And tourists that go to this lodge have the most authentic experience, because the uniqueness of their camp is that you really live together with the Maasai. You really talk with them every night. You really hear their stories. So their experience, their project has been so successful that they have won the Equator Prize by the UN Development Program. There's a video here that I'm not going to share for the sake of time, but in the slides, I will also add the link to see this video, where you will see how deep and systemic was their approach to support the community, the environment, the wildlife, and the touristic experience. And all these things together are providing further development. The lesson learned from them is that you don't do it for the community. You should do it with the community. And this makes a huge difference. Another story still coming from Kenya, again from an Amani Institute fellow, is Nainami. So the guy that you see here in the middle, the Swiss guy that you see here in the middle, is John Marco. And he was studying social innovation in Kenya, and he wanted to help people in the slum. But he also used the reframing tools. And so he was moving from what can we do for youth who live in the urban slums to what can youth who live in urban slums do for us? With this question in mind, he went to the slum and spent a lot of time with these young people, and he was listening to their stories. And he realized how deep and special was the knowledge around life that they've learned in years of street life. And so from there, he got the idea to launch Nainami, that in Swahili means our street, our stories. And this initiative is an experience, a tour experience. These are guided walking tours in the heart of Nairobi, led by these young people from the slums. The experience is so deep and so authentic that in less than 1 year, it has become one of the most relevant attractions in the city. And you can see it on TripAdvisor, is one of the most recommended, or also on Airbnb experiences. And thousands of international visitors who used just to stop by to Nairobi and fly as soon as they can to the natural park or to the Indian Ocean, now they're stopping for one night in Nairobi to do this experience. One key element of their success is not just the tour, is the relationship building between visitors, tour guides, and local communities. And this continues beyond the tour through social media when tourists go back to their own countries. And this has been super valuable during the pandemic, because when tourism in Kenya was zeroed because travel restrictions, communities were really struggling to survive. Nainami started offering virtual tour. And through this virtual tour, they collect money for the people in the slum. The global network of tourists that they had engaged in the past not only joined the virtual tour, but started sharing this opportunity with other people around the world that were stuck in their home. And so they've been able to collect a huge amount of funding, support local families in the slum with food and medicine and whatever they needed. And this relationship with the community has become even more relevant. So one of the key things to do, one of the value of building a relation with the community is that this relation can be alive even beyond the time of the visitor stay. Let's make another quick leap and we land in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is the largest city in Brazil with 22 million inhabitants, probably more. And it's still the economic engine of the country, as a high concentration of billionaires. But the outskirts of the city, in the periphery of the city, there's an artificial lake, the Billing Basin. And even if this is one of the most natural place closer natural place that you can reach from the center of Sao Paulo, this area is completely different. It's very poor. This is, for example, Grajaú, one of the small towns around the lake. There's a subway that connects to Sao Paulo, but everything else is different, is divided. This neighborhood in 2016 was, for example, included in the top 10 worst district of Sao Paulo. A huge difference, just one few stops of subway away. But the Billings Basin became vital for Sao Paulo when there was a serious water emergency. And so people in Sao Paulo realized that this could have been a resource, and also that it was crazy to have this kind of nature so close to the city, but not, how can I say, enjoyable. So different community-based initiatives started. For example, there were initiative for kids, like Meninos from Billings, and they started recovering plastic bottles from the lake and build rafts, and then they started teaching rowing courses. And then slowly these NGOs became a social enterprise, and many young people in the area now work organizing boat trips for people from Sao Paulo who come and visit to spend time for the weekend. But then there were street artists that came and paint the walls. And then there are small arts galleries. And then the local communities have started doing local food and traditional dishes from the Afro-Brazilian community. So now all this area has become a tourist destination. And it's interesting what one of the social innovators that helped creating this system of activities, together with another Amani fellows that run a touristic agency called Vivejar. So he told me this sentence, Hoon's Hill starting from the margins. And this is super interesting. So if we look at the periphery as a resource to cure what is in the middle, we can bring benefit both to the center and the periphery. I want to quickly show you a video. Let me see if we have time for doing that. Not really, I see my time is running fast. So I will not show you this video from that I wanted to show you from Muhammad Yunus. I can share this link too. But what he says is super interesting. So he says, we need to imagine. We need to imagine things. We need to be creative. We need to see what is needed, but we also need to dream. If we can imagine something, we can realize that something. It's like with science fiction. Science fiction, imagine things like calling from one universe to the other, traveling to other galaxies, traveling to other planets, and now we're doing it. If we can imagine things, then we can do that. So it's important to use imagination as a tool to reinvent our places and use imagination to build positive things. We don't need to stick to things as usual. And if you think that this makes sense only for social impact, but doesn't make sense for the tourism industry, I want to mention you another quote. And this comes from one of the key stakeholders in the private sector. This is the CEO of the largest investment fund in the US. And he believes that profits are not in a way inconsistent with purpose. In fact, profit and purpose are inextricably linked. So we need to think of purpose as the tool to make profit happen, even in the tourism sector. Another beautiful person to mention is Wangari Maathai. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in Kenya in 2004. And she was working to empower women and to protect the environment. She has these two big purposes in mind. And the way she did it was to invite people to plant trees as a job, but also as an action to preserve the environment. And the beautiful things that she said is that sustainable development, democracy, and peace are indivisible. And she said that when the environment is destroyed, we undermine our quality of life and the future of generations. So sustainability, environmental sustainability becomes key also for economical sustainability, financial sustainability. But the key lesson that I want to take from her today is that tree planting is simple, that she was asking people to do a very simple thing. But this was the root of her success. Because if it's simple, everyone can do it, everyone can feel part of it, and this sustains interest and commitment in the long term. So when we think about doing things for communities, with communities, together with them, and communities are both the residents and the visitors, we can think of something that is simple that they can do together, and this make the connection long lasting. I think
yes. Yeah, I think you have to stop you. Also, if I'm very sad about, because it's so nice to listen.
But I'm closing. I'm really closing. My last call to action is let's move out from stereotyped view, as we can see in postcards, and let's go a little bit deeper in a 3D approach, connecting with people first and collecting them with visitors. And this will make the entire difference in tourism. And so we don't have to attract them, they will come.
Thank you very much, Francesca, because it's so wonderful here listening you. And I try to keep some really nice also way to synthesize important concepts, like, for example, not only taking a picture, visiting a place, but feeling part of that picture. That is actually with all the other final sentence that I really like, and actually makes also, gives sense also why, according with consumerless, so projects that take care of resources, water, energy, and reducing waste, we are talking about social innovation, because we think that they are really connected, and also a word that today is more actual than always, the speed and decolonization that somebody used and to describe the presentation of today. It's very, for us, really connected, and the community is the heart of this connection. Without the community, are just words. The community make these words make a sense. So we have just for 3 minutes to involve also our audience, that I think they were so much inspired from your words that they had no questions for you, because but if somebody has some question, can write on the chat on the question and answer section. But we have 2 questions for you, if you want help us to answer according with your idea, or with the presentation, Francesca, what you think about, what aspects of your local culture, communities, and products would you enhance to build your destination? So, also inspired from the use key and easy words, because we know that these questions are very we should take time, as the questions that Francesca wrote that actually needs months to really answer, because it's the question that we need to ask ourselves to start building our idea of destination, to ask ourselves what we want and what we are actually. But now we would like also to ask your contribute to these questions that actually you will find. We will ask you after each speech of the speaker, and that for us it's also a contribution for contribute to you after the end of the event to keep this sentence and ask with your stakeholders and find with the answers a first pathway to build another system, because how Francesca was saying, it's all connected. It's systemic. I really liked the idea that it was not just an activity. Behind an activities, there are a system. There are many questions. There are many meetings. There are reflection and feelings and stories and purposes, and all these systemically will be successfully. Otherwise, it will be. So, okay, just we'll read just some quickly. So green environments, less bricks, more natural and open space, local stories, connection with travelers and locals. Francesca, if you want also comment some of these, please, because actually we are, there are many participants, so maybe we are not able to read everything, but if something...
So I see everyone is mentioning, many people are mentioning local culture. I think this is beautiful. My invitation is to really think this through and ask yourself, what is local culture to me? What is the key aspect that makes my place unique? I say my place because I imagine everyone is thinking of something that they feel they belong to, and that's another key element. You as a tourist entrepreneur or as a public office person that is taking care of tourism in that area, you need to feel you belong first. And once you understand that, you can identify also what are the uniqueness that make you feel good in that place and how to enhance them. So let's try to, whenever you say local culture, I would say, so what in particular? And then you answer food. And I would say, what in particular? And then you say the typical bread. Okay, how is it done? Who does it? And think, keep going with questions. And this will allow you to identify that very unique element of your DNA, of your community DNA that can be promoted.
Yeah, it's true that there is never only a question and never only an answer. Also because somebody says answer the sense of community. Community means a lot of different answers. I mean, that sometimes can be connected to become few, but there are also always a plurality likely to show a place and not just once. And sometimes is our feeling is not the feeling that like how the postcard showed about us. It's not the best way normally.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Francesca. Really, I really appreciate so much your speech, and I hope we can really have an opportunity to be in another event personally, because it's the limit and also the advantage of the online connection. But thank you very much. And if somebody has some questions also for the future, please write. There are also the contact of Francesca on the chat. Yes, and thank you again for your very nice speech. And now, just to maintain always the agenda perfectly, I say you bye-bye, and I will introduce, thank you, Francesca. I will introduce the next speaker, that I'm the honor to introduce the only man of the event. Normally it's the contrary. I'm quite glad about this. That is a representative of the Homo remotus species. So just for this, already for this bio introduction, you have earned my attention, Danilo. So Danilo Messineo, representative of Homo remotus species, how I said, that in 2011 co-founded the Evermind, a benefit company born 100% remote and smart working made. And I think with his experience in Nicotera, in Calabria, Italy, it will really inspire us for creating different way to make tourism, but also different way to work, because I really liked also the motto that he has is work as a play. And so please enjoy yourself and us with your presentation about the Nicotera experience to make clearer how hospitality will save the world. Thank you, Danilo, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Just give me time to share my presentation.
Yes, okay, I will just introduce that this next question is about the presentation of Danilo, but we will show the answers and hand. Is right, Danilo?
Okay, yeah, I will explain everything in a few seconds.
That's it. So you can start the answers, but we will comment all the answers at the end.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Just give me a second and I share my computer. Just give me a sec. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Okay. You see the presentation? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Perfectly.
Great. And thank you, Barbara, and ciao to everyone. And as Barbara said before starting, I'd like to ask all of you this question, and what's hospitality is for you. Then, as Barbara said, just answer at any time from now on, and we'll read the answer at the end of my presentation. Just the introduction about myself, then thanks, Barbara, for your introduction. I just put some new points. Then my name is Danilo, I live from Rome and Calabria, where I was born. And as Barbara said, I like to say this term. I belong to the now large Homo remote species, and I still don't know what I do in life, but I like what I do. My motto, as Barbara said, is work as play, and do what you like what you do. I love traveling among humans, and that's my main quotation is like hospitality will save the world. It's not just a sentence, it's a belief. I'm co-founding partner of Evermind, which is a full service company, and we're born with a noble and rebellious spirit, which is enhancing passion and human relationship to redefine the concept of work and organization. As you said, we are a benefit company, so our goal is to create a positive impact on people, society, and local economies. Now, let's start our journey now. And we start with a question. Does anyone know who this man is? Probably not. Anyway, his name is Ahmed Mohammadi, and he was an Iraqi football player, the first Iraqi football player to play in Italian league. And he played in Serie C1 for Campania, a team based in Naples, precisely in Ponticelli. And he was born in Jaipur, a small farming village in southern Iraqi, on the border with Iran. Ahmed, when he was a child, loved sailing along the river Shat al-Arab with his grandfather by Mashuf, which is a traditional Iraqi boat. And his grandfather was a water taxi driver. And he took people from one bank to the other bank, mainly people from Iran and Iraq. Sometimes he helped Kurdish refugees to escape from their land. Those years were not easy times, obviously. And Ahmed was afraid. And one day he said to his grandfather, "Why you did this? Why you help people?" And his grandfather replied, "The only way to get out of this barbarism is to be hospitable, to welcome the other, the neighbor, to see him. And remember, if there is hospitality, there is no war." Ahmed loved knowing people, came from so far away from his world, and was fascinated by the story told by all the people he met during the crossing, the river crossing. And somehow he felt just a little bit Iranian because he loved Iranian stories. Go back to Naples. Ahmed became straight away an idol for the fans because of his gentle ways and his mustache. The fans called it the Iranian wall, crippling the words, and somehow he was proud of it. He played for 4 years and was never sent off or booked. His relationship with the city was great, was magic. He loved to feel Italian, going to the bar every morning, take coffee and croissant, have small talks with the locals, and go lost in the hidden streets. He was crazy about traditional recipe, especially the one made by Signora Maria, his flat neighbor and a sort of second mom for Ahmed. And he enjoyed taking part in public endless lunches in the main square during the holiday period organized by the locals in long tables full of food cooked by the whole neighborhood and with good wine and a lot of joy. During an interview for a local newspaper, he said, "I feel Neapolitan because I sing and move like them, and I also can do pizza." Now, do you know why I'm telling you this story? Probably not. The answer is because this story is never happened. It's just a fruit of my imagination, and that's it. Actually, this story has been created by this child, and as this child was me when I was 4 years old. When I was a child, my great passion was, sorry, I had a problem with the computer. My passion was just creating, just play football in any form, like, playing outside with the ball in the street, or just play with the stickers, or play with all my puppets in endless matches on my bed as a pitch. But my great passion was creating football players. I used to play all the time with my brother to draw players, and players. We invented names, surnames, place, date of birth, height, weight, everything. In order to invent more and more credible characters from all over the world, especially from remote corners, we read the histories of countries, all countries in the world, all capitals, everything in encyclopedias, just to be inspired by the names of potential champions who had a perfect fit and sound, like, for example, Diego Armando Maradona. Now, I played this game until 14 years old, and in around 10 years, with my brother and I, we created 10,000 football players all over the globe. We created a totally invented, imaginary parallel world made up of hundreds of teams, dozens of links, newspaper with articles as insights into the lives of footballers. Ahmed was the first player I created. Now, obviously, I grew up loving the word, looking for it, for people's culture different from me, and dreaming or traveling, I get in touch with the new story, with the other stories. In few words, traveling among humans. Those years taught me the greatness of the word and its multiple perspective, the meaning of travel in order to discover myself through the other, and the beauty of marveling. Now, obviously, with these premises, travel and hospitality were in my destiny, and a child taught me how to love the word. Growing up, I started to travel and touch by hand the real world. I realized soon that often, the ideal world did not correspond to reality. And I've been working for more than 15 years inside the tourism and the hospitality. And over the years, I learned to discover the destructive part of the heaviest industry of our century, what we can call the dark side of tourism. For example, global touristification, homologation, places empty of real life and traditional activities, depopulation of residents, cities being reduced to amusement park, and over-tourism, over-consumption, overproduction, everything is over. And in the end, the monoculture of globalization is destroying the concept of diversity, and that's really dangerous. Now, we live in an ego-logical world. It means we are always focused on ourselves and our needs. I know that's not a tourist problem. It's not just a tourist problem. It's not just a tourism responsibility. But we have to become aware that the world as we know it is dead. The ideology of our time has collapsed. History is bringing us, as the Englishman says, the damage with no discount about our action, our belief, and our ambition. Now, there is a nice quotation from Tiziano Terzani, an Italian journalist. I call my son Tiziano because of him. And he said, because it's that we live in a no-sense system based on growth and profit, whose goal is to make us healthier, richer, more beautiful, but in the end, less and less happy, because the economy is founded on criteria and values that exclude the most important one, which is life. Now, another question. Do you know this guy? I think some of you know him, but anyway, don't spoil it. This is Frank, which is my current playmate and partner at Evermine. He's an engineer, and he shared with me the passion for football, travel, and for people. One day, and the important things, you know, together we want to bring Hamad's imaginary world into the real world. That's the main connection. One day in 2014, we were invited to one of many events about tourism, and we had enough of the usual story, you know, about flows, revenue, and nights, present, trends, and everything. We decided something more. Something makes sense, a wider view, taking in consideration, you know, every side of what we consider an event, which is hospitality. Actually, hospitality is a unique and a repeatable event between humans, and it's more than an industry. It's an overall social event that involves everyone in multiple levels. That day, during a cigarette time, we thought, why don't we organize an event that talks about that? A festival about and around hospitality. So the 2nd October 2015, Festival dell'Ospitalità is born, and our mantra is hospitality. We start to develop a new way of understanding hospitality, where the holiday becomes a journey. Stay is an opportunity of knowledge and experience. Tourism is sustainable, and above all, means cultural exchange and respect for diversity. And where those who work in hospitality and with the territory feel like ambassador of the place where they live and find their vocation in what they do, a sort of hospitality mission. The Festival dell'Ospitalità is self-financed and the largest event dedicated to hospitality and tourism in South Italy. It's 3 days, immersive days between workshop, meetings, talks, reading, and music, and especially local experience. It's based in Calabria and takes place always in the same period, roughly between the end of September and the first week of October. Period and location are strategic. And the first reason is because, you know, the festival opens the period of tourist fair held usually in northern Italy, and it's the end of the summer. So, you know, the most part of tourist operator has got the time to dedicate the time for reflect, dialogue, and preparing the new season. The second reason, because Calabria is our homeland and it's far from logic of mass tourism. That's really, really important. And that's just a brief photo gallery, just to give an idea about the atmosphere we'll live during the festival. During the year, the festival is an opportunity to discover new realities, get in touch with new people, create initiative events in Italy. As you can see from the map, there is not all the location, just to give you an idea about that we cover all the nation. And then we do events in Italy as organizer or as a guest in order to disseminate this new form of hospitality. And all the activities we do during the year, convene into the 3 days of the main event. Now, a brief overview about, all the editions we did, 2015, 16, 17. The first 3 years we did in Reggio Calabria in Chile. They were great experience, but there was a problem. We didn't create a connection with the community. Since 2018, we took the decision to held permanently in Nicotera, okay? That's the last 2 editions. So 2020, the 6th edition of festival has been canceled because of the pandemic period. It was tough. It was a tough period for everyone, and close at home, suspended in a surreal atmosphere. And we asked ourselves, why what's happening is happening? You know, what lesson can we learn from this moment? And what we learn is just to stop and listen. So in March 2020, we co-designed a survey together with a team of entrepreneurs, operators, and professionals in the tourism. And the goal was not so much to find the answer, just to ask the right question. I think it's more important the right question than the right answer. We collect more than 1,500 responses, and here you can find all the responses, shown in a great illustration made by Giuseppe Talarico. There are a few answers really interesting. The first one was, if we foresee a scenario in which definition of a tourist product could be changed, which feature do you think you need to bring into play? The answer has been, the answer was territory and hospitality and involvement of the community. The second question was, in the near future, what would you bring or what you are experiencing today? And the answer was time and tranquility. And this kind of answer was a sort of confirmation about our vision started six years earlier. Okay, in 2021, then the result of the survey and even the period which we were and we're still living, drove us to the 6th edition, then 2021, which was a sort of biennial edition. And it's brought 3 important great innovations. The first one was the change of governance, because Progetti Ospitali, which is a local social promotion association, was born and became the new organizer of the festival. Evermind became just the main partner. And this step is really important because it was the result of natural evolution of relationship built over the time between us, the community, and the local operators. The second point was the birth of the first slow food community in Nicotera, with the aim of working and spread the Mediterranean culture. The third one was the collaboration with Human Lab. And the festival format has joined the Human Lab method, which is a modular and integrated method of mapping the territory through the use of radical collaboration strategy, which put the human being at the center. Now, with this new planning, meetings with the community were carried out in a very laboratory way to work on the identity of the territory, which is something in constant evolution. Now, I show you just a video story about the last edition, and a good vision, and see you later. Sorry, I did some problem. Yeah, great. Okay, thanks for watching. And as we say, then since 2018, the festival was held in Nicotera. Then welcome to Nicotera, our destination. And Nicotera is a town on the Tyrrhenian coast in Calabria. And during the year, it has like 6,000 inhabitants. But in summer season, the visitors are like 25,000-30,000 visitors. There is a seaside fisherman village, and there is an upper village on a promontory. And another good point is the Mediterranean diet town. No one knows, but that's the reality. Actually, from 1957 till 69, it was the base of the research of the American anthropologist and scientist Ellis Keys, who goes by the name of this diet. And the decision to settle in Nicotera, is based mainly in 3 reasons. One, because of the active local community. Francesco and his wife, Nunzia, which is like the mom of the festival, live in Nicotera, and they are an active part of the local community. And they had a strong request from the community, which has largely welcomed the festival project with enthusiasm. The second is because the glorious past as a tourist destination. Actually, Nicotera was the first place in the coast where there were tourist village, and the failure of Vulture Company had a strong negative impact from an economic social point of view. And that's, the example of the dark side of tourism. Actually, in this case, the tourists create nothing and just leave the desert. The third point is because somehow Nicotera can be considered like the lucky sister of Tropea. Tropea is the top tourist destination in Calabria. And Nicotera today lives in a very local and seasonal tourism, chosen just because it's a cheap destination, or just because of the tourism of the routes. And we are part of a community now. And Nicotera local community has actively participated in the creation, planning, and implementation of some lines of festival programs. I'll give you some examples, because they are really great examples for me. Then the first result of interaction with the locals led to the creation of new tourist signage based on the identity elements of the town. And the contents were created by the community, which narrated these markers. So this sign that born do not inform about the places in an ordinary way, but just tell them about the community's stories, which is great. The second example is Tornelli in Vigna, translated is Starling in Vineyards, which is just a journey made of ancient folk song that revived the habit and the custom of peasant in Calabria, in a great frame, which is Casa Commerci Winery, which is an amazing place. And so Cucina Aperte, that's great experience. Translated means open kitchen, is an experience that allows travelers to meet Nicotera cuisine sitting at the table with local citizens and families. It's a sort of home restaurant formula where the inhabitants cooked their own home in their own homes using the typical ingredients of the territory, often from their urban garden. Judeca Fest, which was a great musical concert in Judeca Barrio, which is a great place, is the largest Jewish quarter that existed in Calabria. And this concert united 2 communities that wanted to be one. The one from Nicotera and one about migrants that was temporarily hosted in the town. The scenario was great, and believe me, that day Nicotera was the center of the world. That's a diamond. Il pranzo della domenica means the Sunday lunch. It's sure is the moment that remains in everyone's heart. Every edition except obviously the last one for obvious reason has always ended in front of a long table shared by locals, travelers, festival guests, and what the community offer is much more than a meal. You can serve the tradition, the sense of hospitality. And, maybe it represents the soul of the festival. The last—
Danilo, last one, please, because we are just—
Okay, that's the summer school, which is I go forward, and just to explain that everything in the end became a new project for the community, which is Destinazione Nicotera, which is a widespread territorial hospitality project that combines homes, accommodation, facility, just in a single brand. Everything is shared with the community. You can see the genesis of the logo, and it's not a tourist model imposed, it's just the territory itself that opens up according to its inclination experience. And all the experience are co-designed with them, and this addresses both for locals and for temporary residents. There is even a part of social innovation, but I go forward straight away. And we started a dialogue with the local to use the typical home in Nicotera to welcome not only just people and tourists interested in the sea product, but especially people interested for other kind of vacation, especially, for example, the digital nomads. Then we are trying to go beyond only the sea product. And so just a brief overview about what we did. Then a brand platform with scouting experience to discover in depth the local experience. And that's another project that I can talk because I haven't got time, but it's just, the declination of Destinazione Nicotera in other territories. And that's our humble definition about hospital destination. And that's just a quotation I want to share with you because I think it's really the truth. Destination is never a place, but just a new way of seeing things. Thank you for watching.
Sorry.
Don't worry, it's my fault. It's my fault.
We can stay here to listen you as Francesca because really I think that you are really inspiring with a lot of input, and I think that you are linking with the Francesca presentation where she said that imagination is the destination. And again, you started really with this great idea of imagination can really make us better. And also when she said that don't do it for them, for the community, but don't eat with them. I will add after your presentation, and for yourself, because actually you are the symbol, or that you feel better if you do this kind of work in this way with the community. And Frank, that I know very well, it's also a very good example of as if you like your work and you do this work with the community, you really enjoy also life and not only for profit, also because it's also the mantra of Evermind. But please, there is one question for you on the chat, but you can answer directly probably because it's a request of contact. And I ask Giovanni to show the results that you have to comment with me, Danilo, so keep connected. What does that mean to you? That is not you in this case, but all the other great persons that are following this event. And I think there are very nice, very nice words to define hospitality. And yeah, warm, open, friendly, welcoming, care, authenticity, inviting new friends. That is very, it's true also this. To
it's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, hospitality is a deep word. You know, there is everything inside. And, you know, it's a multiple dimension. As I said before, can be just, you know, a great moment between humans, just two people, like a overall event for all the community. And in the end, it's just a virtue, it's a way of living. And, you know, sometimes I think it's like, you know, the virtue of a great soul that take care about the universe through the human relationship. And that's maybe something universal that can embrace all this great answer from the people.
To feel home, connection. Yes, I think that there are
there are everything, yeah,
that define and are we share. I mean, with what we mean also for hospitality, and I think is great that you catch this. So thank you for your answers. Please continue to answer if you didn't yet. And I think that, yes, as Francesca Folda wrote in the chat, the Hospitality Festival is a really great.
I love Francesca. Thank you, Francesca.
That I launched also here before launch the break and introduce quickly also Piera, that we will know better later. But we also proposed a project that, and we will repropose a project where we extend the idea of festival hospitality at the Mediterranean level. I mean, because it's true that community means also our community, my town, my little town, but also mean Mediterranean. I mean, I feel in this community. We work a lot as VMed, but also at Mediterranean level. We work with the North Africa, with the Middle East. I feel in this community, probably because I didn't tell before, but I'm based in Sicily. I mean, I feel in the heart of this big community. And so I launched here the idea because it's time to propose also new project because for the new programming period, as Marina Trentini was saying before, and I will be very welcome to evolve this idea of the Hospitality Festival and make larger at the Mediterranean level. It will be very great also to feel connected, the small and the biggest and the small again, because we are this kind of link and earth. So thank you very much, Danilo. Really interesting, and I really hope that also participants are inspired as me from your speech. And before launching the break, that will be really 10 minutes, but also probably 7, it's better because we are a little late. I would like to introduce Piera Mattioli, that is our visual facilitator, that in this moment and continually, she is taking inspiration from the presentation of our speakers to make a great graphic recap of all the event that we will better see later. But let me introduce Piera, that is a digital nomad service designer, working in innovation as a corporate change maker in different countries, Italy, South Africa, Argentina, the Netherlands, fighting to design new ecosystem and heeding process of transformation. We will come back better to Piera just at the end of the last presentation, so in 1 hour. And but in this 7 minutes, so we will see again here at 4:40. 4:40 now, because it's 4:40 is now 4:45. In these 5 minutes of break, please enjoy in this moment taking a coffee or a cup of tea, the first part of the design and graphics that Piera made for us. Thank you very much, and we come back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we come back. I hope you take your break. And we are ready for the next great speaker from Croatia that I really hope to pronounce it in the right way, her name. That is Tanja Polegubic. I don't know, I hope. That is the founder or CEO of Salter and also co-founder of DNA, that is the Digital Nomad Association of Croatia. And Saltwater as a consultancy helping cities and companies to stand out to remote professionals through events and co-create the programs which have global reach and long-term sustainability goals. So if Tanja, you are ready, I think I can give the floor to you for your presentation and to clarify how Russian reached this goal for digital nomads to become a destination for digital nomads, and what you did about.
Sure, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Okay, how's that? Do you see that?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Great. Just start my timer too. So to begin, we're going to rewind a little bit to 2019. And I'd like you all to imagine a city such as Dubrovnik in Croatia, which had millions of people coming every year, walking these walls, for example, but they were only really ever staying there for an average of 1 to 3 days. None of them were thinking of staying for a lot longer. Closer to home, for I imagine a lot of the visitors here, you know, Venice, a similar situation where people are coming from either very short stays and not really considering staying longer as digital nomads, except for the early adopters. So we queue forward, obviously with remote work being available to everyone. And now we have people thinking about 30 days in places where they previously never would have considered this. I haven't watched all the presentations, and I'm sure there's more to follow. However, if you aren't aware of this, in Venice, there is now Venyware. If you want to drop it in the chat, I can't see the chat while I'm speaking, but feel free to add your comments along the way. So I saw this just last week, I believe, so I'm not sure how long it has been out there. But I really applaud the efforts of what's happening here. And I love the term glue. So community is really what is the secret, that's not a secret, to success for digital nomad communities. So as Barbara mentioned, how did Croatia start to get on the map for digital nomads? And, you know, how did a city like Dubrovnik start to attract this kind of an area of the market within tourism? So today, what I'm going to be covering is a bit of behind the scenes. So we'll look at the context to understand the journey Croatia has taken in such a short amount of time. And I'll touch on Croatian case studies. I don't know enough about the Italian ones. Hopefully there are some people in the audience or presenting who will be sharing more of this. And specifically Dubrovnik and Zagreb, but also some of the regional areas, because I know that that's important to a lot of us. And obviously when we look at sustainability, we want to support, you know, not just large cities. So there are some examples here, but also what that process might look like. I'm from Australia. Maybe you can detect that in my accent, but also the time of night. It's almost 3 a.m. here where I am, so I've stayed up late just for this. And what I wanted to do was, you know, not rehash too many definitions of sustainability, but, you know, to look at globally, some of the things that I drew out from the Australian Tourist Board's example was are very applicable across the board. And I felt that planet, profit, people was a nice focus to rein in on for the purposes of this. And when we talk about sustainable growth, which is what I want to touch on a bit today, it is about profit, but obviously looking at the environment and our citizens. And so I really urge you, if you aren't familiar with this, to explore some of these and try and build these into initiatives that you're doing as you move forward, because, you know, it is my strong belief that this was what leads to success and the long-term success, rather, of an initiative. So back to Dubrovnik, how did it all happen? Well, to go back, the digital nomad visa that Croatia announced in 2020 is probably the catalyst for it all. So I myself have a co-work space. I've been running it since 2017. So for 3 years, you know, Croatia was just plodding along, and then boom. And really, I mean, boom. And one of the things that really stood out, so this travel off path, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with this, but I'm based in Split normally, and digital nomads that were coming kept mentioning travel off path. They read that Croatia was open on travel off path. You know, oh, you've got to read travel off path. So what did I do? I reached out to the owners of travel off path, and we held an event in that same year. And so here's some statistics from their website. Some of their content gets, you know, huge views. I think 10 million when they got vaccinated in the US. So they really have a large following. And so it's a natural fit. And we're very grateful that one of the co-founders, Kashli Kucheran, really championed and showed us. And she had all the data. She knew Croatia was a hot topic among this online community. So this is one example of, you know, really harnessing what was going on, you know, finger on the pulse to really capitalize on the attention that Croatia had. And so the first case study, there'll be 3 today, is, and they'll be very brief, is the conference that we held in 2020. Now, Dubrovnik may not have been a natural choice for this. However, they were the first public body that were receptive and open to holding an event. A lot of us on the ground, so a media partner, Total Croatian News, my business and other colleagues, were really aware that the world was looking at Croatia, and yet, you know, we weren't publicly saying too much aside from Jan de Jong and the Prime Minister's tweet and announcing the digital nomad visa. And so we, you know, really had the fortune of some really great speakers who came on board, shared the story, and this event actually made it into the Washington Post. So again, you know, a high-profile destination, doing something different, particularly one that had been connected to over-tourism in the past, now suffering under-tourism, you know, really added to the global buzz about Croatia. And at this conference, we also announced that we were forming a digital nomad association. The reason behind this was that from being a business owner, you know, sometimes you can't just go and approach, you know, a tourist spot or a city or even, you know, on a national level as an individual. You know, you have more strength in numbers. So I really applaud the association in Italy for forming as well. And I really hope that they'll see some of the advantages that we've seen as an association in Croatia. We also, through our president and also co-founder Jan de Jong, who's very active on LinkedIn. So he's really leveraged this platform and brought the voice out there to gain prominent sponsors. I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of these. So a telco, Croatian Telecom, and the Raiffeisen Bank and KPMG. So these are really big organizations for Croatia who got behind this because they saw the value that it brought. So it's really been this blend of public and private coming through. So now I'll switch to the DNA part of me, which we've held several events over the last year, and recently we held a reflection day. So what we did here, and this could be an idea within the community here listening, our director went around the country with a little roadshow and he presented what we're all about. So that in-person initiative, you know, really like formed bonds, and, you know, it was like real people like coming and meeting and sharing their insights from region to region. And so we share what our 5 priorities are, and that is obviously community, which I'm sure is always a big topic with digital nomads, giving the right information, representation toward government, education, so educating anyone from an apartment owner through to a digital nomad coming, and certification. That's a later goal for us as we work to address an issue like accommodation, so getting things that are certified by us to make it easier for not only digital nomads but for local citizens, so tying back to that goal of sustainability for people. And obviously it's not just the DNA or just the events. So the Ministry of Interior, on the 1st of January, they made the application process available online for anyone applying for the digital nomad visa, which is actually a permit, but everyone calls it a visa. And so this online process and being the second country in Europe, in the top 10 in the world, that early access to these communities and these news items has just seen this snowballing effect. Croatia is always mentioned now when it comes to digital nomads. So we've had that early mover advantage. The National Tourist Board, does it get much bigger than this? Obviously, this was huge. So to actually run a campaign, particularly in some of the key markets where we knew that the digital nomads that were interested and already coming to Croatia were. So, you can get onto the Croatian National Tourist Board's website and find all these resources, and then they filtered out into other regions. And so you can actually find dedicated resources as a digital nomad, because, you have different needs. You're staying longer, or, you're looking to find a meetup, or, information perhaps that might not be available in English or online. So you don't have to read all these numbers. This is from the presentation that we did, but when we talk about the digital nomad visa, it's not necessarily a, the thing that got thousands of people coming, because there's a few reasons. Obviously, EU members don't need to apply for the digital nomad visa, so we don't count those. So these are third country nationals, so the US, Canada, UK now, Australia, New Zealand, now that those borders are slowly starting to open. And so we've only had 400 applications and 200 approved, but we know through a site like Nomad List, which looks at a lot of different data, that just on that platform alone, we see how many nomads are coming on average. So this is a monthly number by some of our larger cities. They don't list every area. I was on Nomad List last week, and Split had 200 Nomad List members. Zagreb had 1,400. So this is the middle of winter. And so we're getting huge numbers in Zagreb, who've been doing a lot of activity, which you'll see soon. And then on the other side, you have all the other activities that are going on. And with the association, we're able to communicate this and harness this and collaborate, knowledge share, and really show all the activity that's out there, because even a small meetup, like meeting for a coffee or, going to dinner, really means a lot for the incoming community. Online, our Facebook page, well, it's not ours, but there's a general Facebook page. I think it's over 10,000 members now. And our DNA Croatia page on LinkedIn has over 4,000 members. So again, a great platform where we're pushing out a lot of information about the activities across the country. And then there's a few other guides that, rate and rank each country. So we keep getting listed on these. Again, to go back to Nomad List, Croatia ranked really highly among most liked countries. And Zagreb has been ranked on the work motion scale for cities with remote work, number 8. So, these are great things to be featured in for the country. And more for Nomad List, we've, I think Portugal, they're so established, another Mediterranean country, but there's these kudos that you get as a destination. And Croatia has 3 of those. So, we can see these stats of where the growth is, and, we can adjust and address and pour more attention to areas because of this data. So again, I'd encourage you to check out these platforms. And then the other thing that we did, and this, may or may not be a surprise, but not every city is perfect, and it's evolving in its journey, and how much effort it is putting in. So we've assessed each area to see what they're doing, and as you can see here in some of the pillars, there's co-working, there's events, there's the local community itself, there's the amount of public buy-in, and then the promotion that's going on. And so these are like a benchmark now that we can use every year or every 6 months to address, who needs help or what's working and what's not. And again, we actually had a conversation with some of the team from your association. So our association is definitely looking to work together with our colleagues, our peers for official or unofficial support and everything. So we really look forward to that. And, today is just another great example of that. So back to the case studies. The second one that I want to highlight, and I've included this here, but you'll be able to access the case study online for this example, is a design thinking challenge. So part of the topic today was co-creation, and that's between public and private. And so that's the city, the tourist board, and private entities. So what we did was we held a global competition that brought 10 digital nomads in for 1 month to hold design thinking workshops to co-create a roadmap for the city as it looks to adjust itself to cater to digital nomads or be digital nomad friendly. And one example is that there was no co-working space in Dubrovnik. So, the city was able to support that. So I won't read everything in the case study, and sorry, it is a lot of text on the screen, but you're welcome to read this yourself. So the case study looked at what the challenge was, what we did, and some of the key learnings and results. So I'll quickly scoot through some of this because I know I'm about to hit 15 minutes. So this is the link where the case study is, and it's also in this presentation, which you'll find at the end. So it was a lived experience model. So they came in and really got to see what it was like in that area. Other tourist boards from regional areas, so islands and in valleys, were also part of this program. So this is another way to look at, a more high profile destination working with smaller or regional areas and benefiting each other. Some of the takeaways that we saw was, for example, a tour guide who was part of the workshops already seeing how she could adjust her product. And one example of that is, a digital nomad is working through the day. So their availability, if they are to do something, is either the evening or the weekend, as opposed to just any time of the day, like, say, a regular tourist. So we already started that local awareness raising and education through a program like this. We used a placemaking strategist. We had a finale presentation and community consultation in this, and provided, we had press conferences and we're sharing our findings. So really getting the message out. And previously, so in 2017, comments on the Nomad List forum were, it's a nice place to visit, but only a few days. And so fast forward, so this year, now we know how many people are coming to Dubrovnik, what their experience is like. So we're able to actually look at the data and see what that growth has been and will continue to be. We actually had more people from the local community attend than digital nomads. So we're quite proud of that. Actually, digital nomads who won brought their partners along. And so that, doubled our thing. So something, if you think about with your communications, is not just putting a single person. A lot of the time people are traveling with their partner, and sometimes even their dog or cat, as one of them actually did. And what we did here was we had quick wins. So what are the things that could happen immediately and for low or no cost? The midterm goals and a long-term plan. Some of our results, again, the global media attention, and building that network and sharing that message has just been so important to such an initiative. And what I really like about this is that it shows that this is a long-term commitment. And so with this presentation or any presentation that I do to a city is, there's no, one solution that just, overnight, gives you the success. It's a long-term effort. There needs to be momentum. And so the city now has a roadmap that they are already starting to implement a lot of those things. And here, hopefully this diagram comes up clearly on the screen for you, but what we really distilled it down to was these 4 steps that are a cycle. So attract. So, when people are planning on where they're coming, this is the key. Like, they'll decide if they're coming to your destination or not. Accommodating them when they're there. So that's through where they're living and where they're working. Amaze them. Obviously, there's, plenty of wonderful experiences in Italy, Croatia, and the wider Mediterranean. And then amplifying that. So sharing those messages, getting that out. And that cycles back to get other people to hear about it and come back. But underlying all that, these arrows here with the digital nomad community and city infrastructure, that foundation is key. And so I know that some conversations we've had is like, how do you approach the local government, or how do we get them to see it? I admit it is not easy. Not every city in Croatia has been as flow and open to such things. But, finding the places that do then make it easier as you go along and approach other areas, or connect to people who've done it and seek advice from them. And we have the feedback from the actual participants, where he specifically notes, there's a commitment to a sustainable economy and society focused on digital nomads. And again, one of our favorites for some reason was the salt work. So this is the small regional area just outside of Dubrovnik. So, these regional experiences, whether they're a day or longer, give that glimpse into what the whole region has and staying longer. And what we did find is that people said, 30 days wasn't enough. So, that's one of our, key indicators there. So on to the third and final case study is Zagreb. So what we have here are the faces behind some of those companies that you saw earlier. So KPMG, Croatian Telecom, and our association. So, involving the people who are sponsoring us, really brings that element and shows that they're involved and engaged, and, will lead to the momentum and growth of what this movement has become. So first we had Zagreb Digital Nomad Week. So this was 7 days. With 7 themes, and we're actually holding it again in June. So Zagreb Digital Nomad Week 2022 will be held in June. And so what we did was we actually had a nomadic conference. We went from venue to venue. So cafes in the morning, co-work spaces at lunchtime, and then a dinner venue in the evening. So we had a mix of in-person and virtual presentations. It was just starting to, there were some people's first in-person events since the pandemic. So it was a great energy. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but Zagreb had some earthquakes prior to this. So bringing back business to some places that hadn't, had really been impacted not only by the pandemic, but from earthquakes. But the thing I love about this is that it wasn't just 7 days. We actually got an extra 6 months out of this program, because what we did was we hosted an ambassador project. Each month there was a new ambassador that came and would experience the city and share what their experience to like, hold events, so either small meetups, or one lady painted a mural with the local artists. So there were many ways that we, ensured that the awareness on Zagreb came about. And since then, there's obviously been other private sector initiatives who've approached the tourist board and worked with them. And we held an event for Advent. So there's been a lot of momentum in Zagreb, and there continues to be. We also won some awards.
Tanja, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Won some awards, and as you can see here, one of those was for the sustainability category for this Zagreb event, and that was judged against all entries, not just our category. So very quickly diving into more regional areas. Brač is a small island across from Split, and they hold a world championships in olive picking. So we brought in a digital nomad team. So that was through relationships that we had with the organizers who wanted to also get on this buzz in Croatia of digital nomads. And the team will be back again because we only came 5th this year in the world. And then smaller meetups. So based in Split, we have brought so much business to restaurants that are, basically without many guests from November through to April. And so this weekly event, again, it's a very cheap way working with a local partner to, create a platform that digital nomads who are new in town can come to. So here are all the links that you'll find in the presentation from some of these things if you'd like to know more. And I'm really happy to share that you're the first to see. We're about to announce it this week. So the website is just a holding page. Workplace Culture Conference in Dubrovnik. It'll have a mix of remote work, destination setting, and also culture. So not just the culture of a destination, but workplace culture. So I invite you to attend. We'll be sending some invitations out afterwards. And thank you for your time. Here are my contact details. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, Tanja. I'm sorry because I know that there are so many things to do when people do things, and also very nice to listen you, and also to better understand, because for many people probably digital nomads just a new words listen for the first time during pandemic period. That actually is not the best way, but is also really an opportunity, and you show it. And I think that while I will submit our question to our audience, you can listen, because you can read, because there is a question for you in the question and answer section. And actually, in case you can answer, giving time to our guests to answer to the questions that Johnny, please, you can show a question always in a Mentimeter that we would like to know by you what assets can the digital nomads bring to your destination and communities. So if it's the first time that you listen about digital nomads, if you know about, please try to understand, to think, to imagine, as the previous speakers leave us the idea of imagining what they can bring to your destination and your communities, because actually they are also can be considered as a temporary residence. I mean, they can be really part of the communities for a while. So what can do? Knowledge exchange, visibility, yes, both really important and true, I think. Somebody more different point of view, yes, for example, because it's linked to knowledge exchange, actually, because it's other way to live and to understand how live in your territory, in our territory, with our community. Tanja, I don't know if you want, if you prefer answer to the question on the chat, or you want to answer now. In case, please feel free to open your microphone and answer to the question of Denise Otero. And thank you for the question. If you have that question, please feel free, and take also the opportunity to understand better these emerging targets, because I mean, it's something that has somebody, I will anticipate a little, I mean, the next speaker that say the tourism is changing. I mean, we need to understand how to keep in touch with these new challenge, and also the digital nomads are an opportunity to understand how create new business opportunity, new expertise, bring visitors side of high tourist season. Yes, digital nomads stay longer and deeply learn about destination, new skill and experience. Yes. Difference and the innovation in tourism. Yes. Now it's, I can tell you that it's a very great experience also here in Sicily. We organized the first digital nomads events also during the Consumerless project, the previous Consumerless project, and really inspired us to also have another point of view on our idea of project. It's important to share different ideas with people coming from different places and with different skills. Some business opportunities or investment, yes. So Tanja, if I well understood, you are answering in the chat, so good. So I think that contemporary, and we are just 4 minutes late, but if you agree, we can skip to the last but not least. Yes, for many, the common word is new business. That is good. So, while Tanja, and thank you again, Tanja, for your presentation also, because I know that you are in the middle of the night. So it was a big effort for you, but thank you very much. And for your contribution and for inspiring us, and I think also our audience. And I will introduce the last but not least speaker with a great pleasure, Elke Dens, Director of the Global Programs at the Travel Foundation, a global non-profit organization that works with governments, business, and other agencies to maximize benefit and minimize the burdens of tourism for destination and communities. And I really want to close with a great speech of Elke Dens, because it's a wider vision in general about tourism, why a reset is needed to future-proof tourism, and what you can do about it. I think we can really be inspired and take inspiration from this speech of Elke to try to, from tomorrow, to try to rethink our idea of tourism and also have a motivation, more motivation if we needed to do it. Thank you, Elke. If you want, and if you're ready, the floor, or better, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And nice to meet you all. It's the last speech of the day, I understood, so I'm going to do my best to keep the attention high, but I'm very thankful that I can be here on behalf of the Travel Foundation. And I'm going to talk about, the necessary reset that we need for future-proofing tourism. We really think at the NGO that I work for, that tourism can have a beautiful future ahead, but then we definitely need to have a reset, and you can help to reset tourism. Maybe first as a small introduction, so I'm working for the Travel Foundation for 2 months now, but I've been a destination marketeer for 20 years. I've been promoting Belgium, I have been promoting the brand of Europe, but sometimes, and especially in the last years, it has become very difficult to say that I'm a marketeer, and especially a destination marketeer. While I used to be very proud, now when I sit with friends or family, they sometimes ask difficult questions and I don't feel so proud anymore. And when I told this to the association here in Belgium, where I live, they even gave me a prize for this, and they made me Marketeer of the Year, because I said, like, marketing should maybe somehow need to have a reset. And now I'm saying the same for tourism. So that's why I joined the Travel Foundation, because I definitely think that not only in marketing, in the space of marketing, we need a reset, but also in tourism. And maybe we all need somehow to have a reset. And maybe the conditions that we are in right now, COVID and everything, are the conditions to have this reset together. But maybe as a personal...
Sorry, can you put the presentation in full screen so we can see better it?
Oh, yes. Is it not?
No. Oh, at least
I'm looking how I can do this then. For me, it seems to be, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. Otherwise, it's okay. It was just to watch it in full screen, because now we can see your slides.
Okay.
But we are stopped the first one.
Okay, if you can tell me how to do this, then I will.
No, normally you have in the top down right the option to put because it's right in another language. You have the option to put in full screen.
Yeah, I see it's in a first thing the end here.
I think that
let me try again.
Okay.
Is it
okay,
better?
Don't worry. It's okay. Or otherwise, I mean, there is no much words to read, so it's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
Please,
okay. It's a big visuals that I've used, so I think it might be okay. Okay, so let me just start, maybe because I wanted to tell you what marketing for a destination was like before, and what was good. And good was growth. So good was having more visitors to your destination, and the CEO of a tourist board was happy when they saw growth, like in any other business. So yes, that's what we got, I think, the last 20 years. And what is also good is when you win awards, when you are, when you have these beautiful destination campaigns, and you win awards. But when you really ask people, does it feel good? I can tell you that since 2016 in Europe, we have seen all these signs. If you attract tourists, then they're called the terrorists, and you don't want to attract terrorists, do you? Then we have seen the refugees, for instance, next to the cruise ships. Then we have seen the pushback by the visitors, welcoming people, but then also asking them kindly to go home again. And we started wondering, like, if marketing and marketing a place is not about promoting more and attracting more and maybe consuming more. Maybe marketing is in essence about creating value. And then we started to think, how can we create more value to the customer, to the tourist, to the digital nomad, to anyone, and maybe at the same time have less volume to our place. So for instance, this is what we do now with the strategy in Europe. We really want to focus on what we call quality over volume. And we bring places, or we invite places to people that have a special connection for them. For instance, this is Flanders Fields is the battlefield of World War I. And any visitor could come there, but we have chosen for those visitors that have a special relationships. For instance, the Canadian people, the people from New Zealand who have families lying over there, and for who it has a lot of value to offer. So you can target really at people who have a special connection to your place. And that is good. It's less, it's putting less pressure on the places, but at the same time, it's not good enough because it's still the good news story. So we started to see in tourism that there was also something of the hidden burden, let's say the invisible burden. So while we only looked at profit and the number of people that came in and the spending behavior, we also started to look at the cost of a person staying in your place. And this is what we have studied with the Travel Foundation. It is called The Invisible Burden. It's a document that you can download for free, but I'll just give you a small introduction.
International tourism is rising fast. In 2018,
I stop you again because we are watching just the third slide. We didn't see if you moved the slides. And we didn't see now the video, if you are showing it. So maybe try again to move your slides, because we are just reading. Everyone told me I was a good marketer. and probably you had some problem with your presentation. Please try to move it in other slides, the further slides.
I think that the problem is about the sharing. You share your windows and not your screen, I think.
Okay, try now. Yes.
International tourism is rising and fast. In 2018, arrivals reached 1.4 billion.
No? Can maybe Giovanna share my screen?
Okay, wait a moment, I will try.
You don't see it? Yes, this is a movie, Giovanni.
But I can't see the video, actually.
Okay, but then maybe we'll just continue to the next slide, and then it's a connection to the YouTube video, actually.
Maybe you can go on. We will share the presentation.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry for the technical issues. But so the invisible burden just shows you how much it costs to have visitors in your place. And this is an image of Los Angeles in 2018, where they say that while we always said that tourism is making places more beautiful, and what is called gentrification. So you actually get a new investments in your place. And here there's a pushback by people saying that they don't want the yuppie apartments that you see coming into new places where visitors are coming to, and that they need actually social housing. So they don't want gentrification, they want what they call regeneration. And this process of regeneration is what we are seeing more and more in tourism places. Yeah, so maybe to the next slide then, Giovanni. Yeah. And then we had, of course, Corona. And on the next slide, you will see the impact. We have seen that having no visitors at all is also not what we want. So maybe we had a wave of over-tourism, but COVID made it very clear that there's also an invisible value of tourism, of having people in your place, of being able to sharing culture, to sharing everything that you have, and really connecting with other people from the other side of the world. So this is what we call the invisible value, and we want to make it more clear in the future too. So it's not only about the economic value, it's also about the cultural value, the heritage value, even the mental value that tourism can bring to people. And on the next slide, you will see that with all the crises that we have, like this one in Europe, where people have been drowning, but also on the next slide, more and more, you see that with the fires in California or in Australia, that we need to take responsibility for everything what is happening with the climate change. And so while on the next slide, you will see that it has always been the elephant in the room. We knew it, but we dare not to talk about it. We are addressing it right now because on the next slide, we do need to be able to continue to fly or to take a boat, maybe at a lesser extent. But if we want tourism to be able to continue in the future, we cannot not talk about it. So we need to address it. And that's what we try to do. So on the next slide, you will see that it's not about over-tourism, while there have been a lot of conversations about it lately in Europe. You will see that it can be, if you push a slide, please, it can be also about economic leakages, like how much money sticks in the community and how much money goes to multinationals. It's also about low margins that we see in tourism. It's also about not so happy workforce. That's really a problem in the United States nowadays, that people found another job while they were not working in tourism during COVID, and they're not returning. So there's a problem there. There is this overcrowding, but maybe also over-dependence on tourism in some places, and in some places maybe it is under-dependence, or let's say there's still some room and availability, but then again, seasonality sometimes plays a role. And what about these fragile environments? It's not only nature, but also culture. What about exclusion and inequity? We see that a lot of small businesses do not have access to the tour operators or the bigger multinationals. So how can they have a seat at the table and also have an access to the market? What about future crises? How ready is tourism to tackle future crises? And that's what we call resilience. What about unaffordable housing? I've showed you the example on LA, but it's really a problem. And if people in, for instance, Colorado cannot even pay their house, they will not go and work there either. And then, of course, the climate emergency. So these are a few of the many problems that we are facing nowadays. And on the next slide, you will see that if you think about it, not only marketing, but also tourism is really, in essence, about values, about what you value as a community. And on the next slide, we see nowadays that it's not only about those trends or about those crises, but it's really the transition of a system. What we see nowadays is that we have, for instance, flight shame, that behavior that we used to find appreciated, you know, when people fly to different countries. We really admired those frequent flyers, and nowadays it's something that especially in Scandinavian countries, we are saying that it's not good to fly and that you should find other ways to go on a holiday or maybe stay closer at home. These new roles, behaviors are also often related to how we relate to nature and animals. And for instance, like not eating meat, that's something that has changed over the recent years. So it really goes back to what we value. What are the dominant values in our community or in the community that you're staying, and how did that change? And on the next slide, you will see that when you look at it, we think that the next 10 years are really becoming a decade in which we dare to change a view that has brought us progress until now. And the whole view on mass tourism and the development of tourism is coming to some limits now, and therefore we need a reset. And where and I think a lot of people in tourism are really excited about is on the next slide, you will see that we believe that we can drive this change, because tourism is in essence something that has the power to change people, to change places, and to positively impact them. Can you go to the next slides, please? Yeah, so we think that the 20s, the decade that we are in right now, can be transformative. It can be the change of a system. It can be the reset for tourism. And so then the question is, in the meantime, how can we then navigate these stormy waters? Because we have seen the little wave of over-tourism, especially here in Europe. And I think we've also had, luckily now almost behind us, the wave of COVID-19. We are facing maybe, who knows, an economic recession or an economic crisis, because everything what's happening now with Russia. And then we know that there's something like climate change and a biodiversity collapse. So what do we do? What do we do to future-proof tourism? And on the next slide, I think that there is no single one answer for this. I think the answer will depend on your place and on your people. Again, it will also depend on what you value the most in your community. And what you can do. What are your possibilities to have an impact on this? And I have a few examples for this, but what is clear is that every place will need to somehow transform in the next decade. And I have a few examples of this, starting, I think, with Scotland and the COP26. So on the next slide, you will see that Visit Scotland is starting with a climate action plan. They are doing this because they organized the COP26 and they want to leave a legacy. They want to have an impact on the whole destination. So on the next slide, you will see that they developed a whole program. And it has actually 3 pillars. So there's a destination net zero action planning. There's a DMO pilot. So there's Glasgow and 2 other regions who are really starting to look at these climate challenges and see how tourism can contribute. So the question is, how can we contribute? How can we maybe make sure that people do not use a taxi, but that use some electric vehicle? And how can a DMO develop things that are climate friendly? How can we help hotels to become more climate friendly? So the private sector is also very much involved. And here's where we think that everyone should work together, because you cannot do it by yourself. It cannot be one single spot in a destination. It can be not a single accommodation. You all need to collaborate on this. So this is at the level of a region, Scotland, the road to net zero. It's not easy. There's a lot of questions, a lot of fear, but they did start, so it's exciting. On the next slide, you will see that Travel Oregon who have had a lot of discussions on Black Lives Matters. You know, the whole George Floyd discussion there was really, really impactful for the state of Oregon. And they now developed a new tourism strategy, but it's very transformational because it really looks at tourism through a racial equity lens. Everything that they will develop will be made to be able to welcome any race, literally. So they will involve the community and they will make sure that everybody is engaged in this new tourism that they are developing. And then on the next slide, you will see an example of Amsterdam. You know, it's especially also because of overcrowding, but they are using the donut economy of Kate Redworth to make sure that they stay in the boundaries of what they call a healthy, thriving city, so that they don't overshoot on the level of the planet. That's the red border. So you see, for instance, that the waste generation is too high. Well, I think from a tourism perspective, you can help to reduce waste by working together with local supply, local farmers and things like that. And they can also do more good by involving people, and that's the green inner circle, so that everybody can also benefit from tourism and not only the companies. Yes, on the next slide, please. You will see an example of New Zealand. Oh yeah, the previous one. The one of New Zealand shows that that they are really working together with the indigenous people, with the Maori people. So this is how they used to cook their food. And while developing their new strategy in New Zealand, it's going to be very much brought to life together with the indigenous people, and not as a tourist attraction, to be very clear on that, but really it's on the value level to make sure that the values of the Maori are also very well respected and passed on to future generations, but also to tourists. And then on the next one, you will see the new, more regenerative practice at Flanders, at Visit Flanders, where they shifted their purpose. So instead of looking at tourism as an end goal, with attracting more visitors, they see tourism as a means for a flourishing community. So they will let the community decide what makes them flourish, and they will measure the success of tourism not only at the local entrepreneurs or by counting the visitor numbers, but really asking the citizen what they want, and even asking the place what is good for them, what makes the place flourish. So they will have a voice for a river, they will have a voice for a forest even. Yeah. And then on the next slide, there's a last example. It's from another NGO called Fairbnb. And what they are doing now is actually adjusting the model of Airbnb by making a more fair distribution. So you see here the model where normally 15% of the commission goes to Airbnb. And you see that here, the 50% of this commission fee is actually given back to the community via community projects that they have set up together with the hosts and the local partners, the local DMO, and maybe not some people that live there and have good ideas. So this is, again, something that is resetting tourism or adjusting the practice of tourism in a more equal and a fairer way. Yeah, on the next slide. Yeah, what we see in general is that that it's actually that tourism is coming out of the silo, is collaborating public-private, and is really looking at the place on the whole. I just heard the placemaking principles. That's definitely what we are doing now. And placemaking means also making connections with people outside the silo of tourism, with the residents, but also with all other departments. So when we look at choosing a better future at the Travel Foundation, we look at the last slide and we let ourselves guiding by these 13 principles. And you can read them from 1 to 13 by yourself. I've touched on a few of them, but maybe you can even add some more or say what you think about this. Thank you for listening, and I'm sorry for the technical issues that we had.
Thank you, Elke. And I think that already stopped the first point of this journey, see the whole picture is the best way to start, because just to start from this step, we need time. And it's important to take this time also to go behind what we normally see. And so try to really understand this invisible value that are inside us sometimes, but also in our territory and in what we do. And really thank you for this speech. And in any case, we will share a presentation and there is the registration. And so also if we lost some of your slides, but there are available for everybody. And so really thank you. And just because we are just a few minutes late, I would like to skip directly to the recap, the graphic recap, also because it's a way to put all these really great inspiring issue that you propose to us, all the speakers, and try to have this wider vision and to try to understand not only why we need to change what we do and what we think is tourism, but also how. So thank you very much, Elke, again. And I would like this time give the floor to our visual facilitator that I was saying before. Piera Mattioli is working from the beginning of this event, and I really want to thank her because she is doing a very great work, as you could see during the break too already. And he really proposes to imagine and facilitate the co-creation of new worlds, empowering and activating employees and citizens to take a step with curiosity and creativity, that is our two wonderful words, into new ways of living and working, while remotely pioneering inclusive business and facilitation the co-creation of innovative socially impactful service experience. And I can confirm, because all the time that we have some meetings, she is in some part of the world. She travels around the empowering and activate local communities through the visualization and art. So I really thank you, Piera, for this word, and I leave you the floor to present ourselves and try to recap all these wonderful words of our speakers and try to give a pathway that since the end of this event we can start to rethink our territory with a new idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. So I'll try to be as fast as I can to give you a recap of the main takeaways of today's conversation. So first of all, why we are here. So like Michael mentioned, we are here because of Consumeless, that it's a project that wants to promote practices that are more sustainable and contribute to resilient destinations. So we're really here to share practices and improve the practices of the different territories. And why? Because we need to shift from a tourism that is consuming places to a tourism that wants to live a place. So we're talking about safety, inclusivity, social, environmental, awareness, and communities. Community was a big topic today in today's event. So we really need to give new meanings and we really need to build new models. So let's see what all the different panelists talk about. So the first one was Francesca Folda, she first gave her definition of tourism, that as a way to understand each other. And the importance is to start from the people, really starting from the community. So how can we promote a tourism as a way to enhance, to exchange with the community and also bring value to it? So today we are talking about many different levels of interest when we talk about tourism, but most important is we need to talk about lifestyle, we need to talk about communities, and especially we need to create destination and reframe the destination starting with the community. So in order to change perspective of the type of destination we want to build and the type of value we want to deliver, we need to start with the community and work together with the community to build that new meaning. And in order to do that, we for sure need to build a relationship with the community and have this continuous dialogue to have the systemic view and to bring value to all the stakeholders in this system. So don't be afraid. If you can imagine, you can do it. So we are here to imagine new futures and we are here to make them real. Make it simple. So start with something simple and make it simple for also all the people that are in the contest. And let's move out from stereotype, but start with the people from the community, with the tourists that you're trying to tackle. Start from these people. Also, Danilo, Danilo talked a lot about communities and hospitality. Hospitality, like he mentioned, will save the world. And we started asking, what is hospitality for you? No? The definition that Danilo gives is hospitality is a social event that involves everything. Once we were looking at, once he started with travel and hospitality, working within travel and hospitalities, he understood that there were many dark sides of this industry. And this is why he started the Festival dell'Ospitalità, which I had the pleasure to attend last year. And the main takeaway is to create, what were the principles used to design this festival? So connection with the community, to stop and really listen to the community, and especially to ask the right question, to create an event that is in line with also what the community believes. And this is where Nicotera was born. Festival dell'Ospitalità and Nicotera as a destination. Nicotera that felt like the right place because of the active local community, because it was previously a destination targeted for tourism, and then this tourism activity disappear, and because it's the sister of Tropea. They designed many experiences. So Nicotera is really a great example on what can be done with the community and what kind of experience you can design leveraging on what the community can give. So open kitchen, Giudecca in Fest, il pranzo della domenica, so the meal on Sunday, and all these activities were co-designed with the community. So really, again, start with the community, look at what are the leverage points you can find in the community, and co-design new experiences together with them. Then we have Tanja. Tanja shared with us her great journey, making Croatia a destination for digital nomads. Digital nomads that are tourists that go to a destination for more than a few days. They're really like leaving a destination. So what was the journey like? The first step was to create a digital nomad visa. It was created in the country, and of course this gave visibility to Croatia. And then they started by building up a conference event where they also announced the Digital Nomad Association, where the priority of this work that they were doing the territory is communication, information, representation, education, and certification. And they started to promote this activity, running campaigns in Facebook, on LinkedIn, to really promote the destination and promote the different activities that were happening. One key takeaway in this co-creation, in this co-design, we need to involve both public and private. This is the key foundation to make such a project really succeed. Another experience she shared is the case study when they invited 10 digital nomads to co-create what is a destination for digital nomad like. So again, involving the community, but also involving the digital nomads that will come to the destination to experience it. So they work a lot in really like educating the local culture, in looking also at the different roadmaps, have quick wins at the beginning, but also plan for the future, and really spread the word to the world. And the way to do it also is to make people experience your place and to make them also tell about their place. And this is where they also launched the project of the Digital Nomad Ambassador. How can we empower this digital nomad to talk about our destination? And finally, we have Elke. So Elke is talking about the need to reset how we frame tourism until now. No, we need to reset the future of tourism, and everyone can help to do that. What is the reframe we need to do? We need to talk about value, and we need to create marketing that delivers value. So it's not really about the quantity, it's more about the quality. Because right now what we are saying is that the tourism has a big cost and we need to regenerate. We need to use tourism as a driver to make change in the territories, no? So these are some of the issues that, that Elke mentioned. And the key question here is how, what do we value as a community and what does the community of the places value? So really starting from the community, starting from what they need, what they value, and building up on that. And tourists can play a big role in this change. Tourists can really drive change. So the question is how to future-proof tourism. We talk about many things. Look at the tourism and at the strategy, look at tourism and create a strategy, a sustainable strategy. Collaborate, public, private, digital nomads, tourists, local communities. So really engage everyone and shift the purpose. The purpose is not, the end purpose is not to have more people in your place. The people is to create a tourism that really has a positive impact on the community and means and is used to drive the community. And here are some guiding principles that you are free to browse that can guide the redesign, the reframe, the collaborative redesign of your touristic destination. So use this principle, use all these key learnings, and yes, that's all.
Wonderful, Piera. Thank you very much. Really nice, because it's true that when 3 hours of listen is sometimes difficult also to recap in our mind, that in this way, with this visual recap, with your great work, is really a good tool for us to memorize and to keep in our mind all the great information that arrived, and it's not easy. We need to take time always. It's something important that I think is one of the main message also arrived in particular from the experience of Nicotera and also from Croatia. In a crisis moment, they took time to reflect and to take time to think what we need to do tomorrow, not just, oh, what's happening now, wow, no, what we don't want to do. It's important. Time is crucial, and we need to really to rethink also our relationship with time. So thank you very much, and leaving this wonderful work behind, I would like to close, because I'm happy to maintain the deadlines, because I know that 3 hours are long, and before say bye-bye to everybody, good evening, good morning, good night, because everybody is somewhere. I would like to ask just 1 minute's conclusion to our partners, Energy Water Agency of Malta and Ambiente Italia. So to come back to Michael and Marina, just to tell us what is changing after 3 hours, something to add, something to underline, what we want to leave to our audience after this great event. Michael?
Yes, thanks, Barbara. Oh, it was a very interesting 3 hours. It was also, I was also exposed to very interesting perspectives and approaches. I would say one of the important lessons learned, and the one which will guide definitely our approach in the future, is the importance of involving the community within the tourism industry, within the tourism sector as a whole. So as much as possible, we try to connect travelers with the community. This will obviously then lead to a better appreciation of the local knowledge, the community experiences, and the traditional experiences. So that's, I would say, a very important point to keep in mind. And also the importance of focusing on the quality of the tourism product rather than the quantity. And this is, I believe, a key message which we need to take with us. If we focus on quality, it's also a guarantee or a better guarantee that we can preserve the local culture and the local traditions and experience. So I see this, these points are go very much hand in hand. That's I would say are the two key points to take from our end.
Thank you very much, Michael. And Marina, do you want to add something and give us your point of view?
Thank you very much. So it was very interesting. It was great. Also, this final resume from Piera was really amazing. So what I can bring home is, of course, as you already know, I don't have to remember again that I really believe in community. So I will not repeat it again, but what I can extract just 4 points, one per each. So it is a sort of payoff of what I can bring home and what I can suggest or just put on the table for new discussions and for new evolutions of our touristic policies. So first of all, we have a sort of equation. We have our hosts, we have our local community. This bring together one plus the other means that we obtain experiences, and experiences must become the part of the picture we send and the part of the picture we represent, by which we represent ourselves to the other part of the world. And then, as Danilo also repeated a lot, we must become part of the community if we want to experience what happens in the locations we go for tourism, or we just go there for stay some time. So not being, we also have to teach tourists, to teach our hosts in order to be the part of the community and live inside there. And then we have to remember that we also live with profit. Why do we have to forget profit? So profit must be for community. Profit must be part of both must give quality to the life of both the travelers and the citizens. So profit must give quality to the entire community and to the tourists. But of course, we already said that the tourists must be part of the community after all. So closing with the Travel Foundation, that really was amazing, with a lot of new stimuli and a lot of new ideas of things to do. Some I already knew, other were really just fresh air. We need to prefer quality over volume. We need to work on the regeneration and conservation and sustainability again of our territory, and we need to keep margins, the margins coming from tourism, we need to keep them for the local communities. Again, we need to reduce the impacts of the massification of tourism from an environmental and a community, social point of view. In order to do this, I must go to the first speech. We must see things and reshape our point of view with another way. So we must think that everything that we see as a problem must become a point of strength some way. We must see things from another point of view. Is not just ignoring problems, but is looking for the solutions in an innovative way. Again, I can put social innovation as a stone on which we can build this new house. So thank you again, and I hope to have touched all the main points because there were a lot. So
thank you very much, Marina. Yes, I think so, me too, that it's about great and full of inspiration, and I really want to close. Thank you, first of all, all the participants, also the partners from Cyprus, Croatia, French, and Montenegro that are following us. Also, thanks to the horizontal project that Andrea in this moment is saying bye-bye to everybody, but I really thank everybody to participate. I would like to thank the Italian Association of Digital Nomads for the great support, also to link with some speakers and some professionals that probably are, we who is working on the tourism industry doesn't understand how much they can be important for this process. And it's very important that we start to connect more and more. And I would like to leave you saying, okay, we know that without forgetting that there is an elephant on the room, as Elke remember us, because I love it so much, this picture. I mean, we need to use the imagination that Danilo told us. We need to use the connection that Tanja suggests us to create this common work that Francesca is remembering, that is important, not work for somebody, but work with somebody, and work also for ourselves, because we are part. We don't need to forget that we are part of this community. So with this wish to be and to come back a little to be this great community that we are, I think we can close, and really thank you to everybody again, and we will share all the presentation and the video online. So please keep in contact. If you have any other question, don't hesitate to contact us to our email address and all the address that we shared of speakers. And thank you. And with only 1 minute, that is like a challenge for a Sicilian girl to respect, but I like to be in time is something that is important to respect people and that commit. So thank you very much. And
if I may say, thank you very much to Ewa. And thank you very much to Barbara and all the SVMED team for organizing this webinar.
We believe in what we do, and so it's a pleasure, and it's just the start point for new interesting projects. And all of you can be the next partners. So see you, bye-bye to everybody, and we keep in contact for the next events and activities in Montenegro. If somebody is from Montenegro or is close Montenegro, in May we are in Montenegro physically this time. We can touch each other. Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.